and Jose just have you running 4 miles a day, just easy, and the heart rate shoots up 10 beats, you've got your red alert, something's wrong. You might be sick, you might be coming down with a virus, okay? Now for females on menstrual cycles, you have an obvious reason why the heart rate would go up. You may want to pay attention to your food. If you start to become anemic, you need to eat more red meat or at least get the iron up in, you know, a vegetarian type of way. But try to offset it. Don't let it just hit you, knock you out on your feet and go, oh, I don't know what happened. Offset it before it gets there. That's the name of the game, okay? Does anybody have any questions about where your energy comes from and why we use the heart rate monitor, okay? Because if you don't understand this, owning a heart rate monitor makes you look cool, but it's of no value to you, okay? The heart rate spreadsheet, when you get it, it's so simple. It tells you the lower end and the upper end. The reason why I want you to be comfortable with it is when you go to the track, you're going to want to get into those upper zones. It teaches you how to deliver oxygen, dissipate lactic acid, all kinds of metabolic noise, okay? But on the flip side of it, and this is the part, especially you big guys, okay? You guys don't like the word easy. So when I ask you to go out and do an active recovery 4-mile run, we actually use a heart rate monitor to put a governor on you. Do not run any harder, notice the word harder, not faster, no harder than X. Let's say that this is the upper end of zone 2 for you. I don't care if you have to walk to stay below 145. It's an active recovery day. But we want our training logs to all look so perfect, okay? That's the problem. Good old training logs, it's all got to be perfect. You got to have bragging rights, okay? And I mark my words, if you'll truly keep it low enough on your easy days, on your speed and quality days, you'll go straight through the roof. We've seen it year after year, race after race. Because think about it, if you're fresh for your hard days, you're going to produce a better output, which means you become a better athlete. So what we've seen historically, and no disrespect to guys, but your egos are horrible, okay? You train too hard on your easy days, which leaves you flat on your good days, so you never get any better, and you get all mad. Well, seriously, it's not that difficult. Pay attention to your food logs, go easy on your easy days, and then be ready to rip it on your harder days when you need to go hard, okay? And hard is a relative term, because for some of us, just going down log pond is hard. I don't care what pace you're at. That's why I love the heart rate monitor. If you're at the end of long pond, have you guys run long pond, you know what I'm talking about? Where you go down to that little lollipop and come back. By the time you get to the end there, I mean, if you're at zone 5 tapped out, you're like, I don't care what my watch is saying, I'm suffering. Well, that's exactly it. And that's where we get more into the psychological aspects of why you're out there. But one of the things that we've seen quite often is, I want to use the heart rate monitor in an empowering way. You think that you're struggling, and you look down at your heart rate monitor and you're 5 or 6 beats lower than it's supposed to be. It's an empowerment tool. You'll pick up the pace. And what does that do? All of a sudden, you're happy with your speed. All of a sudden, but I didn't ask you to run an X pace. I asked you to go to a certain intensity. Does that make sense? If you're on the low end of zone 3 and I need you on the high end of zone 3, you have to start running faster to get there, or hit a hill or something. Okay, and that's where you're going to have. Disney doesn't have a lot of hills. Okay, they have a couple overpasses that can be a little bit brutal. Okay, but you can imagine if we're training somebody for Big Sur, Chicago, New York. All right, think about the opposite. You're on the flat, so that's great. You're in zone 3. You're in your race mode. Everything's going great. Then you hit an incline, and so what does the average individual say? I got to hold my pace. So then they blow up the face of the hill. They get to the top. They're walking because they've gone completely anaerobic. They're in zone 5 now. They can't recover. So they have to walk. You think they're going to be faster or slower than if they had just slowed down, stayed in their heart rate zone, got to the top of the hill, and just resumed their speed? You'll always be faster if you slow down. It's got a lot of deer in the headlight looks. If you're running at, let's say, 150 on the ground, flat, then all of a sudden you hit a hill, and if you slow down and stay in 150, when the hill stops, you can go back to your 150 and just keep motoring. The person that goes into 160, 165, 170, you've gone anaerobic. Legs are on fire, you can't breathe, game over. All right, do that 5 or 6 times. Now you're completely demoralized. I walk, I stink, I'm lazy. All the negative derogatory comments start coming out where you could have avoided it by just watching your heart rate monitor. Okay, for those of you who don't have a heart rate monitor and don't want to buy one, okay, you're going to use what we call the talk test. When you guys are out running, when you ladies are out running, you're talking to one another. That's pretty much zone 2 and below. Okay? If you get to a point where you can't talk and you're like your sentences go from there to 3 words, you're starting to get into zone 4 and 5. Okay, zone 5 is forget it, don't talk to me. You probably become very mean at that point. Okay, there's your scale of zone 1 through 5. All right, during these long recovery runs, you should be able to talk the whole time. If you can't talk, slow down. Okay, if your goal is to burn body fat, you should be in talk test zone the entire run. The entire run, every run. Okay, no disrespect, because I wasn't there on Thursday, I don't know what was said, but if you're out here to lose weight, do not go to the track and run fast. Absolutely do not, because if you're telling me you want to burn fat, then you need to keep it down here. Remember, this is where your fat zone is at. This is where you're burning fat as a primary fuel source. Sugar comes in when it starts to get hard. And remember, you don't ever, I will argue this till the cows come home, you never ever burn fat exclusively. Burn sugar exclusively. And trust me, in these upper ranges, when you're way up there, you're not burning a lot of fat, but you're burning a matrix of fat at some level. Whether it's 1% protein, 1% fat, 98% sugar, it's always a matrix of it. It's never just one. And there's some people out there that like to say, oh, well, we can put your body into a comatose state and it's going to burn fat exclusively. The word exclusively is not true. Okay, if you don't believe me, just look it up. Look up the Krebs cycle. Look at the percentage. There's always a mixture of the 3. These are what we call macronutrients. They integrate with micronutrients, vitamins and minerals. That's how hard nutrition is. Everybody wants to complicate simplicity. Macro, carbs, protein, and fat. Micro, vitamins and minerals. You can call them whatever you want. That's what they are. Okay? Where do you get your vitamins and minerals? From your fruits and vegetables. Where do you get your macros from? Mainly protein sources. Now there's always exceptions to that, especially for some of you who have extensive nutritional backgrounds, but in general, okay, I think people convolute the simplicity. It doesn't need to be that hard, okay? If you don't want to buy a heart rate monitor, that's fine, okay? You're gonna have to be honest with yourself on the talk test. That's the hardest part. That's what I love about the heart rate monitor, because there's no emotion. It's like, oh, my heart rate's too high. And by the way, that may mean you have to split up as a group. Because she came in tired and a little dehydrated. You showed up well rested, well fed, well hydrated. She's more relaxed and her heart rate is still low, but she's running faster than you. You gotta let her go. That's hard, especially in a group. Especially for some of you that are like, no way, not believing her. Okay? So what ends up happening is 2 people are training together. One gets a good workout, the other one actually has a bad workout. But because you don't want to let go, and I understand, especially when it comes to safety, it's dark and stuff like that, which, by the way, holds you more accountable, okay? You'll eat a little bit better because you don't want to let your girlfriend down, boyfriend down. Isn't that weird? You can say girlfriend's cool, boyfriend's like, that's not cool. But it's however you want to say it, you're running buddies or whatever, okay? But the idea here is when you guys start holding each other accountable, you'll look at your food, because what I want you to do is learn from one another. It's like, hey, why are you feeling so bad today? Oh, well, I was stuck at work, baby was up all night. If you guys can start learning, wow, this stress is really having a negative impact on my performance, you'll start controlling all the other variables a lot tighter. Okay, like we said last week, simply consuming half your body weight in water, if you miss that, you shoot yourself in the foot before you even get out the door. Not even including the sweat rate. That's just for basal metabolic, digestion, respiration, basics. Okay? And it's all the little things. As you guys know, the longer the mileage goes out here, the more variables that come up. When you're running 3 and 4, it's like not so bad. Compared to today at 6 versus last week at 7. You start finding new problems when you're running 7. Okay? All right, I've run over here a little bit. I appreciate you guys coming out.